I bet y'all didn't expect to see me on time tonight, right? Well, I was a minute late. I guess that's not too bad. Uh, Good to see everybody in here. If you're wondering what I'm looking down for, I'm not just staring at the floor. I'm battling this thing that's attacking me continuously today. I probably need a blood transfusion, but this little thing will not stop attacking me. Hello, Tanisha. Hello, IBS. Hey, Scott. Good to see you. Glad the moderator's in here. I'm going to go ahead and bring Brooks on in. She's going to be in with me tonight. There she is.
Hey, everybody.
And in the background, as you can see, is Hunter, the man of the hour, the man of the show tonight. The show is dedicated to Hunter. Uh, so we're going to do, it's going to be a little different show tonight. I will have to apologize. My mom is not going to be able to make it. She got tied up with other family. And I apologize for that. But we've still got a great show set up for you guys. We're going to talk about some stuff. We're going to go really deep into some things. And I think y'all are going to really like this show. I've done a lot of research today. I know Brooks has probably been really looking at what we're going to talk about tonight. And when we get done talking about it, we're going to give you our opinion on what we believe it to be. So I've got some good ideas from what I think it's going to be just from working in the environment that it happened in for over 10 years and been a supervisor. Um, this is kind of right up my alley. What happened here? It falls right in line with what I used to do. So we will see exactly what we think our opinions are on it. But before we get started, uh, I would like to remind everybody to keep Red Tick Hound up in your prayers. I don't know if he's in here tonight. I haven't seen his name run by, but he's always in our thoughts, always in our prayers. Um, I want to thank our moderators for being here tonight, Brooks, Randy, Scott. I want to thank you guys for being here on a very special night to me and a very special night to Hunter. It means a lot to me. The people that love Hunter are here tonight supporting him, and we
Yes.
are working to bring him home. If you guys would like to make a comment in the comments, he will watch this show at a later date, and he loves to read comments. So this show is dedicated to him. He will see this show in the future, and you know, I'm just going to start off by saying I won't say a name because I won't say one name because I don't have permission to use her name. I should have asked before the show, but one of my moderators' wives, and I'm going to use the second best podcaster in Oklahoma, D Doss's name. Uh, they they taught me something that it reminds me a lot of tonight's show, and you see, there's evil out there, and it's working through people right now,
Mhm.
and a lot of people have been threatened not to be on my show. I have news for the devil tonight, Lucifer, Satan, or the false light bearer, or whatever you want to call him. You're not going to scare me away from fighting for my son because I'm covered in the blood of Christ, the one that defeated you at Calvary. See, fear is not of my God, fear is of the devil. I will not run from you. I will not bow down to you. The only time you will ever see me bow is when I raise up from bowing and I say amen because you're already defeated. Hunter's coming home, and I will never stop fighting for him. That I promise. And I will not cower down to you. And I couldn't imagine being anywhere else tonight, but then right here, facing my enemies and being with my family and fighting for him to come home. And I just needed to get that off my chest.
Amen.
Um, I know a lot of you are still wondering what's going on. So what I thought I would do is I would take the beginning of the show as people start to come in and everything, and answer what questions I can for you of what's going on right now with Hunter. I'm limited in a lot of what I can say, but there is some areas that I can go into just due to it still being a legal battle. I can tell you this: we have won many battles.
Yeah.
Um, and there's a huge battle coming up that we have already won. And I thank Jesus for the victory already, that it's already been done. it like the wheels of justice turn slow, but it's also going to be in God's time because it's going to be perfect. And
Mhm.
I know that what's coming isn't going to be short this time. You see, what happened last time is it was a short amount of time, but this time God's going to make it permanent. Because how do I say this without? I had somebody step up, and I now know for sure it was a conspiracy.
Yes.
Because a conspiracy is when somebody else helps somebody else lie that has experience in doing that. I now have voice recordings and screenshots that's been sent to me by people that have seen the truth come about. People that were against us completely are now turned and have sent us things that I have forwarded to my attorney that are going to be detrimental in this case. The proof is there. And thank you so much. You know who you are. They did not want me to use their name on here, but they said that they will help us. They just did not want to be aired on the show. Scott, thank you very much, and God bless you. Scott does so much, uh, but I'll take any questions that any of you have, and also you two moderators feel free to ask me anything that you're wondering, and I will answer what I can. I know a lot of you have a lot of questions.
The donations are going for
Strictly attorney fees.
attorney fees.
Yes, because we have learned a lot of new things that we're going to be filing for, and with the new evidence that's been brought forth, it's going to be great.
Hmm.
You know, if somebody, I'm not throwing up things. You're not able to do that, are you?
No, I can't.
Okay, see, look here. I didn't throw up the last two things. The last two things was thrown up. So I
Uh-uh.
don't know what's going on with that.
I don't
Hold on
know.
1 second. I
Make
don't know
sure
why.
we're not hacked.
Yeah, I don't know why it done that.
Cat didn't do it.
No, she's down here chewing on my ribs. She hasn't stopped since I came in here. She's just been attacking me. Oh, you're
Huh.
okay, Candy. No hurry. You haven't missed anything yet. I just have an open floor right now for anybody that had any questions about Hunter before we jump into the subject tonight. Like I said, I guess I could tell you all this, and it's probably going to make a lot of you happy. I can tell you this: Hunter is coming home.
Hmm.
I do know that. It's going to take a little time, but it has already. It's happened. Hunter will be coming home, and
And Mike, you need to explain that Hunter's been with you this whole
yes,
time.
yeah, since Hunter was a child, a baby, just a brand new baby, Hunter has been with me. And then I got my divorce, and I had Hunter for 5 years with just me and Hunter. I've raised him solely on my own. He has known no other home but the home that he was with me. And
And then the knock came at the door.
yep, we was at home on a regular day. Two sheriff's deputies, along with another lady, showed up, and he was ripped out of the only home he's ever known. He
Hmm.
was upset, crying, uh, very evil.
Didn't understand what was happening.
No, no, not at all. And what happened is some evil people behind the scenes took advantage of a war that was going on before with the channels, and they used other channels to push their agenda to do what they were trying to do. And
Hmm.
they've got caught up in it because the people's turned on them now. Um, you know, it's a sad ordeal. It was an evil thing that happened.
Hmm.
Like I said, we've won many victories with this so far, and Hunter will be coming home. We're not taking the Christmas tree down until Hunter comes home. Um, we just have a few more things to do, and he'll be coming home. I well, I can't talk about that. Um, but yeah, he will be coming home. But I've had a lot of people ask me a lot of questions this week, and I honestly thought I would get a lot more questions in here. Thank you, Beverly. God bless you. Also, I appreciate that. Um,
You're right, Herbert.
yeah, Herbert, it's you're guilty until proven innocent. Um, I mean, that's just the way it works. It's unfortunate that it works that way, but like I said, we have won a lot of battles, and even despite what another gentleman out there has been preaching, um, we've won a lot of battles, and he absolutely doesn't know anything about what he's talking about. He's spreading hate, and it's just sad that they want this war to continue.
Hmm.
Uh, these people, what they done is evil. Now, I do promise that once this is over and I'm able to talk about it, I'm going to give you every name. I don't care
Yeah.
if they have hidden, if they have ran, if they have deleted. I don't care because I'm going to give you every name that I can.
Hmm.
Um, that was one thing that I promised myself that Hunter would have victory. He would have to show the people that attacked him.
Yeah.
People deserve to know. And it's public, it'll be public knowledge. So it's not like I'm doing anything wrong. It's all public record. So I've already found that out. Anything that's public record or anybody that's put their name in the public is subject to being talked about in the public. So it doesn't matter what they've done, it's what they have already done. So yeah, I mean, I
Hmm.
feel like that's part of his thing is to be able to, well, our Constitution says it, guys. We have the right to face our accusers.
Hmm.
So, and I'm a big believer in that. Hold on one little second.
Now, our links to donate are pinned at the top of the chat. Mike's got a GoFundMe, he's got a Cash App, and got a post office box. So we appreciate all your donations. It really helps.
I'm back. I had to put the cat in her cage. She just bit me and brought the blood on me. I mean, she sunk her teeth in me. She's annoying. She will not stop. But you know, I just feel like just it's a short time before we get to have our party. We are going to have a coming home party, which you all will be able to see. When we go pick him up, we're going to do a video of picking him up. And of course, he'll probably steal it from me like he most normally does and go on there and tell everybody, take over the show. He's always been real good at that. He likes to get on there and do that. But I guess if nobody has any more questions, we'll move on to the subject tonight.
Explain one more time where your mom is for the ones coming in late, Mike.
She had to help family tonight last minute. She was needed with family, and we always put family first. So um, family needed her, and they needed her to be there. So unfortunately, that's what happened. Yeah, that kitty's hungry, all right, Randy. She's hungry for my finger. She bit plumb through it. Uh, so everybody knows what's going on in the news right now. We got aliens shopping at the mall.
Woohoo!
Um,
I want to go shopping there, right?
yeah, yeah, and here we go. Let's see. I think also that when Hunter gets of the age, he can sue the people that cause this, can prove damage. My forte is criminal law, not civil. Yeah, Herbert, that was what has been mentioned. It has been, that was actually said. And also, whenever he turns 12 years old, he can pick where he would like to reside permanently.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Janice, for that super sticker. We appreciate that a lot.
Oh,
Uh,
what Herbert is saying though is that uh, it can be done as criminal.
yeah, for the damages that it done to him. He could have
Yeah.
long lasting, trauma from that.
Yeah.
He was
Mm-hmm.
ripped out of the only place he's ever known.
Yeah. His home.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this is all he's ever known. He was placed with strangers. And I'll go more into that whenever he comes home because there's some sad things that happened after that night also. And all I'm going to say is the people that say he's in a better place and he knows who said that, I'd be careful who I put my name behind because there's some really bad things fixing to come out. So I'd be
Mm-hmm.
real careful about who I back on that. But yeah, there's supposed to be some aliens shopping at the mall. D Doss done a really good show the other night about this matter. Um, you know, I'm going to talk about something that I think it could have possibly have been. Well, I'm just going to ask. I'll go ahead and ask Brooks this question along with everybody else in the chat, just to kind of see what y'all are thinking right now. Do you all believe what happened at the mall? Do you believe that it was biblical, or do you believe it was a man-made deception?
Mm. Um, could be either or, in my opinion. I mean, nobody really knows for sure. Um, could it be CGI? Very possible. Um, it's kind of like the thing that happened in California, that those beings turned up in those people's backyard. Um, said many people saw them.
Mhm. Do you
So,
believe it's possible that these people that are doing the TikTok videos and stuff right now, do you believe that they are actors that have been used in other mass things that have happened? I don't want to say the word or we'll get flagged, but I think everybody knows what I'm talking about.
right. Oh, yeah. I definitely believe there's a lot of that going on. Yeah, there's people wanting to jump into that for sure.
Right. No, thank you, Tracy. Every little bit helps. Thank you so much, and God bless you for that. Hunter is he just turned 11 years old, Shirley. So under a year till he's 12. Uh, you know, I saw some things that really made me question some of the things. Um, I'm reading some of the comments. I don't want to miss anything. Uh, One of the things that I saw that kind of made me think that Project Bluebeam come to mind
Hmm.
was I noticed outside whenever you have the helicopter flying that you'll notice there is there's like a fog, and I have a theory on the chemical trails in the sky. I believe that is all part of the same thing, and the reason I think that is to be able to project an image, you have to have a
Hmm.
screen.
Hmm.
And I noticed that outside of that mall there was a gas. Now, if it was a chemical gas, you would have seen the police officers wearing chemical gear. None of them were wearing chemical gear. They were going in and out of the gas unaffected. Patrons were going in and out unaffected. So that tells me that it was some kind of a fog, I believe, that was used to illuminate or to project that image. And I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't the helicopter that recorded that wasn't actually the same chopper that was projecting that, and it was an orchestrated practice of deception. They were trying to see what they could get
Oh,
away with in a more populated area. Um,
That's an interesting thought that the helicopter projected it because they did say they were in the mall too as well, right?
Yeah,
Um,
there's actually a story on that too.
mhm. Yeah, that's interesting. But I'm
And
with you. All these chemtrails, not contrails. There's a difference between chemtrails and contrails. The contrails will dissipate, but these chemtrails that they're putting in, if you'll notice, the sky's not as blue anymore. It's milky.
right. Um, you know, they said that they thank you, Herbert. I think you may be right, Herbert. Um, Another thing that they said the power in town was cut and a no-fly zone was enforced over the mall. Okay, I got to thinking about that, and whenever you start investigating that, you think why would they cut the power? Well, if you're projecting a a beam, you don't want other artificial light to interfere with what you're trying to project. So if you
True.
kill the lights in the town, I worked at a mall. Malls have uh, generators,
Generators.
and the generators do not turn on all of your outside lights. You only have certain lights. Hold on one second. Let me move this cat. She's driving me nuts. One second.
That kitten thinks Mike's his mama. It's so cute. So yeah, I agree. With the lights go out and the generators come on, and he's right. They only power up a certain amount because it's the generators aren't big enough to power up the whole thing. It'd take a block of generators to do that.
Right. Yeah, you would have your what they call, and the reason I know that is I done mall security for 10 years as a captain and worked right alongside the Bartlesville Police Department. For those that don't believe I done it, there's you a name of a police department. I worked with the right beside the Bartlesville Police Department, and I worked with juvenile services. But you have certain security lights that will come on in case of a power failure. You have
Hmm.
just enough light to be able to see to evacuate people from the mall and to the parking areas. So you're looking at low light areas. So if you're going to project something, you would kill the light, and then of course your no fly zone. Probably the reason they done that, you really don't want a news chopper flying in the same area as your unmarked black helicopters that were there and seeing a blue light shine down from the helicopter, because the news choppers are going to be saying, why are they projecting down onto the ground? What? And then your cover is blown. Uh,
Right.
so I think that was the reason that you would cut the power to the mall. Um, Also, it was rumored, and this is all alleged, that the mall had cell phone blockers. Okay. Doctors' offices and hospitals also use these. You can turn these on and you can block cell phones, Wi Fi, things of that nature. It will also cause video to be distorted and blurry, like the Red Circle Kings photos. And you can't tell what you're looking at. I mean, unless you go out in the woods and you take a picture of somebody that's taking pictures of wildlife and you call it a DDN. But I mean,
Right.
these low light, and then you have interference being ran, so it's going to be hard to video something. And then how do you even know that the video you're looking at that's been released isn't from the actors themselves
Right.
because we don't know the authenticity of the video
That's right.
because they
There's
had a
videos.
rumor.
Yeah, there's videos coming from everybody. Everybody's talking about this.
Right. And there was a rumor that people were being stopped by police and their phones gone through and stuff erased.
Hmm.
I have trouble believing that because I know in certain court cases it is very hard for even the courts to get into phones. I know that a lot of phone carriers, even with a search warrant, they still won't open the phone. Uh,
Right.
yeah, Herbert, we pray for full heal for him to be fully healed in Jesus' name, Amen. Uh,
Amen.
Randy will be posting the links to PayPal, uh, Cash App, and the GoFundMe as throughout the chat. He'll be doing that. So if anybody was asking, I just got somebody asked me on the Facebook account. I don't know if y'all seen that or not. They asked me where the links were at. We have some Facebook users on tonight, and I don't think you all can see them. Uh, but I think that was one of the reasons that they would do that. Um, what do you think, Brooks? Do you think Project Bluebeam is a good possibility?
I think it's a good possibility. Um, Definitely. Could it have been a movie stunt?
Right? What was
W-
they filming? Was they filming a movie there,
Yeah, is there going to be a movie coming up?
or there was something else been released at the same time?
Right.
And I'm not going to say his name because I know we'll get flagged for it. But they released Mister the guy that's supposed to be dead's list.
Uh huh.
So was it a smoke screen for that?
Could be.
It's another one
Um,
of those.
I mean, I mean, everybody has to look at it from all angles. I mean, was it real?
Right.
Was there really aliens there? Or, of course, what people call aliens. I don't believe in aliens. I think they're demonic, whatever
I
they are.
I
They're
believe they're
not our
demonic.
friends.
Yeah, I believe them to be demonic. I believe that they're demons.
Yeah.
Uh, Attraction Power has a good statement. She says a lot of witnesses saw aliens.
Hmm.
I don't doubt that they saw aliens. But what I'm trying to figure out is did they see actual physical beings or did they see a projection? And the
Right.
reason I say that is a lot of witnesses said, and this is getting to the other part on the inside, that there were some teenagers came into the mall before all this happened. And whenever they came into the mall, they said that they placed something on the floor that resembled a CD player. And they said, weird looking glasses. And they turned on this machine, and they said this machine started releasing these 10-foot looking shadowy beings. So now my question would be, is that a Project Bluebeam machine that works on the inside and they put the glasses on to shield themselves from the hallucinogenic projections that would have been projected?
Right.
I'm not. That
Ooh,
was
there's
one of
so
my.
many different scenarios of what it could be. What Whatever it was, whoever it was, what they want people to believe. There were a whole bunch of police cars out there from the helicopter view that I saw,
Uh-huh.
and they said that they called out the entire police force, which I heard on another channel. and he was former police, and said that they never do that. Never.
Right. Even though a lot of people don't believe it, what I used to do, I've done it for over 20 years. And yes, I was a captain. And someday I'll break out my old stuff and show y'all, just to for shits and giggles, just to show you. But
Thank you,
that
Mary.
does not that does not happen. Yeah, Mary, thank you so much for that. God bless you. That means a lot to us. The reason you don't do an all call like that is because whenever you do that, you're leaving the whole city open for anything. And
Exactly.
yeah, and you're not just talking about bad people. We're talking about wrecks, and we're talking about you know medical emergencies, assisting IMSA with loading people or whatever ambulance service you have in your area. They do a lot of different things, and to do an all call like that, normally you won't do that. If it's something really bad, then you're talking calling in your SOT or SWAT teams, depending on what your city has. I was part of our special teams whenever I worked, and if it was a bad thing that the regular suited officers weren't equipped to handle, that's what we would
Hmm.
go in and do. So that's really unusual for them to do that. I don't know why they would do that. And now I do have a theory. Again, if you're trying to keep out certain people from seeing certain events unfolding, if you call every police officer, you're going to block every road around that mall. So, in
Right.
other words, you're putting yellow tape around the mall, but you're using emergency vehicles to do it with. And that's just a good way to sanction off the mall. So now you have a no fly zone. Now you have a no drive zone. So you've pretty much cut the mall off. You've made it its own little area.
Hmm.
And of course, you're going to have your rubberneckers and all that that's going to be trying to get through there also.
Right. And Attraction Power said, what everyone thinks Project Bluebeam, government deception, or veil thinning, and things come through. That's a good point because I thought, well, what they've been doing at CERN. Uh, I've heard reports of stuff coming through at CERN that those scientists have actually seen entities at CERN.
Right. Yeah. I've always thought that, gosh, try not to get ourselves in trouble,
Hmm.
that our people, we'll put it like that, are part of the deception, but I also believe that they are working along with the enemy.
Hmm.
And I think that they may coincide, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Because if they're coinciding, I think that it just makes sense to me because I think what they're trying to do is come up for an excuse for the rapture. I'll just say it.
Right.
When the rapture happens, they're going to do a massive alien invasion and they're going to say no, Jesus didn't take those people, the aliens took them, because they're not going to want people to go to God when that happens.
Right.
So that's going to be their way of power, and they're going to, the antichrist, he's going to say no, aliens took them, but guys, if you don't do what we tell you, they're going to take you too. And that's going to be
Hmm.
how they're going to try to have dominance over you. And that's where you're going to have to know as a Christian and have discernment to know this is fake. This is not real. This is not our Christ.
Right.
You know, they're going to do what they tried to do from the beginning of time, is what I believe, is anything they can do to try to go against what God has done, to pervert it, to ruin it. They're going to try to do it. They've done it since the beginning of time. And
Hmm.
we know that he's still working hard today. He hasn't given up, you
Hmm.
know.
No.
So
And, I think, and everybody here, without naming, in the last few years, I think we're all being tested see what people will do and what they won't do, what they'll believe and what they won't believe.
To
I
see
think
how,
it's a test.
just
It's
also you think maybe to see how people react,
mhm.
because I think a lot of people, uh, I think some people are going to, do what the Bible says. I think they're going to have heart attacks. Their hearts are
Yeah,
going to fail. Their hearts are going to fail
that's right.
them. I don't know. I think that there's some really bad things to come.
Mhm. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely there's bad things coming. And people don't have a clue.
Oh
I
no.
mean,
Well,
pe-
what is it?
people are people are just focusing on, okay, I go to school, I get married, I have children, I go to work, I buy the house, the car, go back and forth to work, get my kids raised, retire, and then I die. I mean, a lot of people don't look beyond that.
Kind of like the Truman Show, huh?
Mhm.
They lock you in a little bubble, and kind of like a
Mhm.
hamster, they tell you this is what you do every day to survive, and nothing outside of that matters.
Yeah.
You know. Uh, hey, Robin, it's okay. We're just getting into it, kind of really. Uh, if I miss throwing some of your stuff up, guys, I apologize. I'm trying to look at my notes and watch chat, and I don't have anybody here helping me tonight. Watch and throw things up and try to stay. I'm trying. I'm trying really hard. Yeah.
Yeah, I keep looking down too at the chat. I'm trying not to miss what people
Yeah.
are
It's
saying.
hard to get everything. Yeah, Scott. They did say kids had fireworks. Um, But even if they did have fireworks, we had that happen at our mall before. And honestly, we probably wouldn't even have called out for help on that, that we would have had enough officers internally to be able to take care of that. Because we do in the mall, we have special CERT team officers that can take care of things like that, that actually suit up and gear up and are equipped and trained for that. That's what I did. Um, they can handle a lot. And I think that we'll get into that in a little bit because I don't want to ruin the end of the show because that kind of goes into the end of the show. Scott's jumping the gun on me. Um, but yeah, and yeah, and a lot of people's talking about the Euphrates drying up. That's right, attraction power. And I'm not saying that the alien invasion, the fallen angels, and all that. I'm not saying that that's not going to happen. I believe it is going to happen.
Uh-huh.
I'm just trying to determine if what happened at the mall was actually that happened, if it's happened yet, or if it's still to come. That's the only thing that I'm really trying to figure out because I saw some things that kind of made me say, "This is man," because when you work in a mall, you know things that other people don't know. We're going to get into that here in just a little bit, but first I want to talk about another gentleman here in just a minute that we're going to be discussing some of his opinions and see what we think. Let's see. Uh, so DDoS mentioned this the other night, and it really struck home with me, and it made a lot of sense to me. Do you guys think that we're seeing something along the lines in our media right now of Project Mockingbird? And for those of you who are not aware of what Project Mockingbird is, it was a project that a three-letter alphabet agency used to control the media and to be able to push false narratives to push an agenda. Do you think that our news right now is infiltrated by our three-letter agencies that are pushing their agendas for the great deception that is coming?
I personally think 100%. Our media's been compromised for years. Not only, I mean, they've been pushing agendas for a while. I quit watching the news.
Right. Well, you don't know what you're being told, if it's the truth or if it's deception.
Hmm.
Now, one of the things they did say is that there was black helicopters on the scene that was unmarked, and that doesn't seem to be nobody's really arguing against that. That seems to be pretty agreeable across the board.
How'd they get there so fast?
It's almost like they were waiting to do it, huh?
Right.
And another thing I thought was really weird that I found. Uh, they said a week before this all happened, in the area of the mall, they have been getting phone calls from all walks of life. Okay, different jobs from doctors to mechanics to lawn people, white, black, Indians, all walks of life. But they all reported the same thing. They were seeing lights behind bushes, behind houses, behind little outbuildings and stuff. And the lights that they said they seen were blue, green, and orange. And some of them were orbs. They were floating around. Now they said they had a low emitting sound while they were stationary, but as they ascended and moved away, they had a large, like a humming, a louder sound, which
Hmm.
told them that they had a propulsion somewhere that was propelling them. And then
So, how big were they?
they said it wasn't large; it was about the size of a basketball.
Okay.
But another thing that made me start thinking when they said the size of a basketball, if something's lit up, it'll appear to be bigger than the actual object.
Hmm.
So what I was thinking, and the night of the mall thing that happened, there was a large unidentified object went over the mall that was orange in color that got a lot of phone calls from everybody in the city also. So that did happen that night. Um, got something going on.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, to me,
yeah,
that wasn't spam.
I can't see it, but
Uh, that was correct, guys. B. Neely was correct.
um, yeah, I couldn't see it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
he
Brooks will
said
know.
Israel was created as its own state in 1947. Jesus said he would return in that generation that Israel became a nation again, and that is correct. A
Yes,
generation for us is between 80 and 100 years or so, and we are definitely living in that window. Yes, that is correct.
yeah. And Robin, to answer your question, officers are trained on how to go into an area and
Oh,
to stage. We do that all the time. Staging is something that you learn and learn and go over and go over and go over and riot control, chemical spills, things of that nature. So that's just second nature to get a lot of officers in a small area and to be able to stage, because you got your your corporals, your lieutenants, your sergeants, your captains. Everybody's you have your own squads and everybody just sets up a certain way. Uh,
there's. Uh, I think he was
I,
just wanting us to say it, guys. But it's okay. B. Neely, you are correct. I know you're in timeout, but um, why they timed you out was because you'd posted it like 8 times or something.
okay, I must have missed it. I'm sorry. I can't. I'm trying.
Yeah, I
I got
know it.
some.
Well, but he is correct on that.
Okay. Um.
Okay, Scott. Scott yelling at me, Mike.
Scott, be good. That's getting for elder abuse.
That's right.
Uh, I think there's a possibility again that Gary, I agree with that. I agree with that. I believe that there's other people making the calls. Follow the money. Follow the money. Uh, I think, like what Brooks said, how did the choppers get there so fast?
Hmm.
And if all this was going on, I wonder if people in the neighborhoods were actually seeing drones.
Yeah.
If they
Yeah.
weren't,
If you've
setting
never
the
seen
guard.
a drone show, let me tell you something. I saw one this past summer here, and they're amazing. Uh, there's something else. I mean, I don't know how many they had, but they would, make figures and everything else.
You know, that people are talking about mass hypnosis in the mall. Visitors was used. I think that would have been hard to do on that many people. Uh, because hypnosis, you also have to allow yourself to be hypnotized. Um, one of the questions I had, and this was just let me make sure I'm not going to run the end of this show because I think I'm getting into the end. I got to stop myself on that one. I think that drones were being used, and I think that they might have been staging things, trying to practice, or maybe they're trying to get those calls into 911 so they can say, well, stuff's been happening around here. We've been having lights, we've been having UFOs, and, you know, setting it up. And, you know, every police officer that was on the scene wouldn't have known it was a setup. Uh, but if you watch the officers on the ground, these creatures that are 10 foot tall, the officers are paying no attention to them.
Hmm.
They're just kind of walking around them. And I know that if I saw something 10 foot tall and it was a fallen angel, ain't no way
Hmm.
I'm going to be walking around it.
Mm-mm.
You're probably going to see me running the other way.
Yeah.
you know, so that's another thing that really made me think. But that fog out there, you notice there was a fog the full time.
Yeah.
And that really caught my attention as something to be able to project on.
Well, now this just came to me. What if that fog wasn't down there on the ground? What if it was above? Because you had said the police officers or whatever didn't see it. What if it was above them, and if the helicopter was projecting it, that's what it picked up.
That's true. They could have been above them
Could have been above them.
because from the helicopter's viewpoint, it'd be hard to tell, how high the fog was off the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be another thing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know a guy by the name of Timothy Alberino?
Yes. Love Tim Alberino.
Well, he talked about some things I thought was
Mm-hmm.
pretty important the other day, and I took some notes, and I wanted to talk to everybody about it. Uh, yeah, Herbert said 10 foot tall and bulletproof. In Peru, you know, they started having what they called the face peelers
Yes.
in the Amazon jungle.
Mm-hmm.
Villagers were being attacked, and they said what was attacking them was using very advanced technologies.
Mm-hmm.
They were cutting the faces off of these people.
Yeah, and there it was like wasn't bloody. It was like a skull, just a white skull, like
Yeah,
bleached skull.
that's That's
Mhm.
terrible. They also
Uh-huh.
said that these creatures were using hoverboards.
Mhm.
They had shoes on, they were
Mhm.
riding discs, and their shoes would also allow them to float whenever they got off the boards. But they noticed that they would mess with their shoes before they would hover.
Mhm.
So I thought that was really weird. And as I kept on looking, uh, they took two police officers into where all this was happening, and the police officers were escorted by the Navy.
Mhm.
And they said the police officers done a really, really fast investigation, not even a thorough investigation, kind of like they got in there and they wanted the hell out of there. And whenever they left, they said, well, it's these gold miners over there. They're using, these backpacks and they're flying in here trying to scare you guys. But whenever you talk to the people that use those backpacks, they said they're actually quite hard to control. They take a lot of practice, and flying them in the trees
Yeah.
and stuff like that would have just almost been impossible to be able to achieve with the backpacks we know about.
Right.
Uh, the villagers were very upset with their findings, so upset that they actually haven't let any outside people back into their villages because they felt like they were just kind of brushing them off.
Right.
And I don't blame them on that.
Well, Tim, he went over and did, I think, a 5-day expedition. He used to live there for 10 years at one time, so he knew the language. Um, he also got to do an interview with the girl that was they tried to abduct, and that was real interesting because they came up from her family's backyard. The backyard went down kind of a hill, and they came up to try and get her.
Wow. So what all happened with that girl? I haven't heard. I just heard a little bit about that, and they said that he done a show on it. Whoa, what
Yes,
happened?
he did. He did. Um, yeah, I mean, he goes into detail with her. Of course, um, she spoke another language, which he spoke that language. So he was basically translating what she was saying, and her father was there. Yeah, you'd really need to see, uh, because I'd leave something out that he learned from that, but it was really good. Uh,
So she survived an actual attack.
yes, they tried to get her, and she started screaming, and they all came out and helped her
Wow. Did it do any damage to her?
mentally.
I know he talked about another kid that actually survived it, and they said that he was cut on both sides of his face, and it was kind of like flopping, and he was bleeding
Hmm.
really bad. And he said there's actually a video that he has on that, and the kid is sitting in
Hmm.
the emergency room just bleeding, and they're stitching him up.
Hmm.
And they tried to cut his face off of, and while you're alive, I mean, they try to cut your face off while you're alive.
Yeah, yeah.
They said
It's just weird.
they said the crafts that are used are a some kind of a weird compulsive compulsion system. They said
Hmm.
there's no rotors on them, there's no engines, but some of them kind of look like Chinook helicopters. They hover above the village at 40 feet, and they said they kind of look like acorns turned on their side.
Hmm.
If you have a Chinook helicopter, and I'm sure everybody knows how big they are. If you don't know, guys, that's a double bladed helicopter, the big choppers you see in the sky. If you have one of those without any rotors and this thing's hovering, that's a pretty large craft to just be hovering up there. I think possibly, Robin, the reason they would be doing that is they may be stealing organs. I think that's one of the theories they have out there is they're organ harvesting. which that scares me to death.
Well, and two, and you think if it was a Chinook, any type of helicopter, especially a Chinook, you're gonna hear that puppy.
Oh yeah, and they said this thing had no blades. It didn't have
Right,
any, and they said it
right.
had no propulsion system. They didn't see any engines or anything, and they said it was
Hmm.
relatively quiet. It was just kind of just like hanging up there above the trees.
Yeah.
So
So,
that's weird.
of course, I don't, I know a lot of the stuff they're trying to work on and have worked on is uh, magnetic aircraft, works on
You know,
magnetics.
here's a scary thought for you. And me and you've talked about this before, but not kind of like this. We've talked about the harvesting of the cows and stuff.
Hmm.
And taking the stuff, and we talked about they was probably taking it to build suits, if you will, for demons to possess, to go inside of, to have a body.
Hmm.
What if while they were doing that, they decided and said, hey, you know what? We could take faces off of people, and instead of our suits having these alien faces with these big black eyes,
Oh man, that's a creepy thought,
we
Mike.
could we could we could start having human looking faces.
Right,
And then if you take a hoodie and you dress a gray up in human clothes and you pull a hoodie up with a regular face on it,
right.
because a lot of people are saying right now that
Wow.
some people in our public are wearing masks.
Right,
What if those aren't masks? What if those
right.
are cut off of people and put on?
Ugh,
It kind of sounds like the Chainsaw Massacre gone bad,
something.
you know.
My gosh.
And if
That's
they're doing that, here's another eerie thought for you. The people in Miami said that since this happened, they have been seeing dead relatives and getting phone calls from dead relatives.
hmm.
So what if these things are using the deception and they go cut off grandpa's face and show up at your window, looking in the window, talking to you?
Ugh. Wow.
Because you're not dealing with the spiritual being at that time. You're really dealing with your grandpa's face. I mean, he's not alive,
Yeah.
but it's really there.
Right.
And if this creature's wearing it, and then you go back and you think about Lucifer, it said that he had instruments placed inside of him and he made great music. I believe those instruments were vocal cords, and I believe those vocal cords are what gives them the ability to be able to make the noises they make, to be able to mimic the noises they make, and to make noises higher and lower than what we're able to hear. So if they have these vocal cords and they can wear the face of something that you recognize and they can sound like what you know, now imagine where that can take you.
Oh my gosh. Well, at this point in the world, nothing surprises me. I
I
mean,
mean,
really.
you could be sitting in your house and just for instance, say your dog died,
Hmm.
and the next thing you know, you hear your dog barking. You open the door, and there's Fido's face. But then when you shine the flashlight on him even more, it's a gray down on his hands and knees with your dog face on him.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
I mean, just maybe they have went from the cows to now look what we can do now. We can take human parts and we can start blending in, and maybe, just maybe, that's why the woman on the plane said, I know he's not real.
Hmm.
And that's why we're starting to see a lot of the eyes that change to the slits and stuff, the forehead that's got more wrinkles.
Yeah. I've had two experiences like that. One similar to the lady on the plane, but it was different.
Yep,
And that,
you gotta tell me now.
okay. Well, I was on my way to my cousin's, and believe it or not, I was flying out of DFW with my other cousin. We were going to my cousin's house, and I'm a Dr. Pepper drinker. I mean, we're both excited about going because actually we were going to Hawaii, so I was really excited. Um, and I'm sitting there on the plane, and we took off, and then they start bringing the drinks. Well, my cousin, she was messing with her iPad, and I'm sitting there thinking, well, dang, they don't, I'm thirsty. They don't have Dr. Pepper. I thought, okay, what do I want to drink? I mean, this is what was going through my mind. I thought, do I want 7 Up or Sprite or ginger ale? And I was flipping that, Sprite or ginger ale through my head on what I wanted. So before she got there, in my mind, I said, I thought, okay, yeah, I want ginger ale. She came up to me, and I'm looking at her. She has a ginger ale in her hand and a glass, and she starts pouring it, and she looks at me and said, "You decided on ginger ale." I totally flipped.
Wow.
I She was demonic.
So she,
Absolutely 100%. And I jabbed my cousin and I said, "Did you see that?" And she wasn't paying any bit of attention. Of course, she didn't know what I was thinking. But this woman told me that. She said, "You decided on ginger ale." And that's when I went, okay, armor up, armor up.
oh
And
yeah.
I looked at her, and in my mind, I said, "I know what you are, and I rebuke you, and you stay away from me." I didn't see her the rest of the flight. That is a true story.
So she couldn't. Yeah, she wasn't able to come around you because you put the armor of God on.
And that taught me a valuable lesson because no more in the man in the moon did I expect something like that to happen to me.
Right.
And I thought, I will never get on a plane or go into a crowd of people without having my armor up because that honest to God happened. And when that happened to that lady on that plane, I said, no doubt, no doubt that happened to her. I believe her 100%.
I think that these creatures, if they are, cutting the faces off of things and doing things, and I mean, they could take the face and then they could mold it and have a, you know,
Hmm.
a face that they could use over and over and over. What if what they're doing right now is they're trying to infiltrate our society and see if
Hmm.
they can fit in without being caught,
They're already here, Mike.
Right.
They're already here.
And they're walking amongst us,
Yes, they are
you know.
amongst us. 100%.
Just watch your kids when you're out and stuff too, because they are, they're looking for your kids.
Hmm.
They're trust me, they go after your kids. Trust me,
Hmm.
that's what the evil ones do. It's a huge mockery to God. Uh, another thing about the faith peelers is multiple villagers and different tribes. They had them draw pictures of what they seen, and
Hmm.
all of their pictures were identical. So I don't believe in coincidence. I believe
Mm-mm.
that when you have more than one person that's seeing the same thing, I believe that, and from different areas, and these tribes don't intermingle, then you definitely have something going on. Uh,
Something's happening.
oh yeah, there's something out because these people are scared to death.
Yes, they are.
Now here's the part that I think is really going to make sense to a lot of y'all in the chat tonight. And I found this, and I knew Brooks would like it when I found it because it really interested me. And this is going to lead us into what we're going to go into here in just a little bit. The villagers said, and I thought this was really, really, really interesting, that whenever they seen these discs flying around, they thought that they were UFOs, because everybody sees the discs. Until the villagers started shining flashlights on them. And when
Mm-hmm.
they started shining flashlights on them, they noticed that there was a human looking object that was riding on the saucers.
Mm-hmm.
They had a backpack on. They were dressed in black,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a dark, dark black like they had never seen. The backpack didn't look like a backpack to carry supplies, but a battery backpack from the way they described it and drew it.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that they were riding these things like frisbees,
Mm-hmm.
and they would actually land them. And whenever they would get off of the discs, they would reach down to their shoes like they would have to unlock them, and then they would
Right.
mess with their shoes again, and they could kind of glide around outside off of the disc. And they were trying to
Mm-hmm.
harvest people.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
that sounds to me like humans.
You know, I don't know, Mike, if it's humans or I believe the alien abduction deal. Uh, that's real. Of course, I don't believe they're aliens, but um,
Right.
I think it's part of the process to corrupt God's seed, the DNA. It's part of the program of the Nephilim because if these things are creating other beings with body parts of humans, that's what they're doing,
Right.
in my opinion.
IBS, I'm doing well. Thank you. Uh, the local police have now theorized that they are organ stealing. They believe that
Hmm.
they're stealing organs because some of the bodies found are not just missing their faces, but they're missing hearts, lungs, livers,
Hmm.
and they said it looks like they've been taken out by a doctor.
Hmm.
Um, a teenager was attacked. And this is the one I was telling you about. He was 15 years old with deep lacerations on both sides of his face that were flapping. His face was almost cut off while he was alive. And
Mm.
he said while it was cutting his face off, it was talking to him just like a regular human and appeared to be breathing oxygen, like he could hear the.
Mm.
I thought that was really strange.
Hmm.
Uh, like it, what? Oh, yep, Gary. I would have to agree with you. Um, but they said that's what it sounded like. And then we had the California backyard landing where they said they
Hmm.
saw the aliens. So we got California and Florida,
Hmm.
pretty much on. both sides of the continent, pretty much east and west.
Mhm.
So they're both by bodies of water, and they're both by military bases.
Mhm.
Even what's going on in Peru is by a navy, or not, it's by an Air Force base. So all this is happening by army bases, which I think is very unusual. Because if you got military bases and all this is going on, that means that they have the means of firepower to be able to stop these things. So they're pretty brazen to be flying around with military bases around.
Unless they have an agreement with them.
Yeah, unless you don't have to worry about them,
Mhm.
or you have a special symbol on your aircraft that allows you to do that, kind of like going to
Mhm.
space, like we talked about.
Mhm.
Maybe they're allowed so many faces a year, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, Talking about the mall, I told everybody I would get to this part. One of the things that really made me think about, this being not uh, fallen angels or ghosts was a lot of people in the mall whenever this happened, not just police officers, but people that have concealed carry and stuff. They said that they were firing at these creatures. A lot of people were shooting their weapons at these creatures. Working in a mall, and I know a lot of you people have visited the mall, the floors are granite pretty much, and the walls are like quarter-inch sheetrock. There's nothing. They're made to be took down and put back up. Um, that many bullets fired in there with that many people running and screaming and exiting and everything with the ricochets and everything that would have happened in there without somebody getting hit by a bullet, in my opinion, I think somebody has to get hit. I think somebody has to get shot.
Yeah.
Uh, I just don't see any other way around it. That many people, and I'm talking them bullets in there would be like ping pong balls. We even talked about when we worked there was using ceramic tipped bullets just because of the ricochet factor and how thin the walls were and the amount of people occupying the space. That way, the bullet would hit whatever it was fired at, its intended object, and it would destroy itself, and you would not have the ricochet. Um,
Mhm.
so I just don't see that many rounds fired in there like that, especially with people panicked and scared. They're not going to be focused on their target. They're going to be spraying and praying, and I just don't see somebody not getting at least wounded, if not killed. Uh, that's just an opinion. Um,
Right.
uh, and another thing that really bothered me is I did not see the police really taking notice to the creatures. Um, Unless, like what Brooke said, it was in the air above them. But still, the officers are taught to be aware of their surroundings, so they should have been looking up, down, around, and everywhere. They should have kept their head on a swivel, guys. Um, but they you would think they would have at least noticed it. And if the choppers were there supporting them and the chopper seen it, you would have thought the chopper would have radioed to them, unless there was a uncoordinated movement to where the choppers might have been a higher three-letter agency that wasn't working in concert with the officers and had their own agenda. Now that's possible. Um, I still think that the creature that was in the fog, I still believe that fog was used for a background to be able to project it. I don't believe
Right.
that was what we thought it was. I think that is a projection. That's just my opinion, but I do believe it was a projection. Um, and another thing I thought about too is all the cell phones in there. Not somebody not getting at least some decent footage, even outside. If y'all know a mall, whenever I worked in our mall, There's nowhere in a mall you can go you're not on camera.
Right.
You're on a camera somewhere. It doesn't matter where you're at. If it's in the store you're shopping in, or if it's in the mall commons, the corridors, there's cameras everywhere.
Except the
So
only place to be sitting on the toilet.
that's about it. And there's a camera watching those doors when you go in and out.
Right.
So I mean, for there not to be video of it, that was another thing that really bothered me. Uh, and here's the last thing, and I'll run this by you and see what you think. Out of all the people in that mall, and you have fallen angels, demons, entities, you would have had Christians, and there would
Mhm.
have been a lot of those that would have rebuked it,
Mhm.
and you didn't see them leaving. And I know that there are strong Christians out there that would have stood up to that. I know they would have. And you
Mhm.
did not see that happening either. And they would have had to flee. They would have had to have left if there was a Christian there that,
Mhm.
in my opinion, in my beliefs, that would
Right.
have used Jesus Christ against them. Then that they would have had to leave. Uh, I think that in the future, I think there's going to be another event that's going to happen pretty soon. But I think that there's going to be death with this one. I think they're going to have to push their agenda a little further to get the panic and the fear that they're looking for. I believe they're practicing for a big event that's going to be coming up. And I
Mhm.
would say that you're going to have to be careful and keep your eyes open, and be ready for, you know,
Yeah.
for a big deception.
I think that and I'm sure there's going to be more test runs. If this was a test run, there's going to be more.
Right. And attractions power, yeah, we are lucky for that, but how much longer are we even going to be able to do that? I mean, it seems that they're
Mhm.
after that right now, our Second Amendment, our First Amendment. There's kids right now getting arrested for filming on sidewalks just because police officers are arresting people on their feelings now, based on their feelings. And
Mhm.
you're not supposed to arrest on feelings. You're only supposed to enforce the law. Once they
That's
step
right.
out of that, once you step out of that color of law, and I know that Herbert's going to agree with me on this one. Once a police officer steps out of the color of law, you have then lost your protection. You have lost. You can be personally sued. You can violate civil rights. It gets really bad from there. And what's bad is the officers are doing this, and you cannot get a grand jury to indict them, and that's because
Mhm.
in a courtroom in front of your peers, people are taught the police are always the good guy.
Mhm.
And what we're getting right now, and God, I could go on about this because it aggravates me so much, is we have, instead of police officers, we have order followers. And in
Mhm.
my opinion, there is nothing more dangerous than somebody who follows orders without challenging it or knowing what you're doing. Because there's a lot of officers right now, they're walking up to people asking them, do you know the First Amendment? Do you know what the Second Amendment? Do you know the Third Amendment? They have no idea. But yet
They
they're
don't
swearing
know.
to it. No, and they're swearing to uphold it. They have no
Right.
idea what they're upholding. You know,
You're right.
we have to be careful because I feel like our police departments are being militarized for a bigger plan down the road to control us. I don't believe they're the
Mhm.
police officers that we knew in the 70s, 80s, and maybe even the 90s.
They're not. The town that I grew up in, lived in for 61 years. Um, Years ago, our police officers were great guys. Great guys. They were your friends. I mean, everybody loved them. Nowadays, uh-uh.
And another bad thing, and I'm not just dissing cops because I done it and I worked with them both. But whenever you go from, and this is just my opinion, guys, just an opinion, but I think that that an officer should still wear the nice top shirt. Your vest should be under your uniform. You should be dressed nice. You don't need to run around with your bulletproof vest on the outside of you with a million things on the front of it like you're going to war. You're not military personnel. You are a public servant. You work for the public. If it gets to the point to where you need that kind of equipment, then you call SWAT. But I don't think our beat cops need to be focused on being military dressed. I think they need to be more focused on community uh, relations, being able to get along with the people, knowing the people on your beat, knowing the people in the stores, knowing mom and pop. That's what they should be
Yeah.
more focused on. And
Yeah, now I think as far as that goes, as far as having the vest and stuff, would definitely depend on where you were a police officer. Like there are some places that they do need to dress like that.
right, I'm just saying I think they should have them under their uniform, the vest,
Right.
like we used to wear in the old days.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was a female, and she got into an altercation with a guy, and of course the man overpowered her, and because she had her equipment on her vest on the outside, he was able to
Mm-hmm.
pull her close quarter knife and cut her throat with it
Oh wow.
because it was on the outside and it was accessible to him. And I think
Right.
that when you come across somebody, you don't always know who you're dealing with. You come across a
No,
ex-military person that is trained, that has been overseas, that has killed. You're at a huge disadvantage if you think they're just going to wrestle you on the ground, because they're not going to. They are taught to survive.
that's right. Well, I mean, you think about it, Mike, the military, I mean, that's why the Vietnam soldiers, I believe, and not just them, but from my experience, what they had a hard time coming back. Those guys and gals, they were trained to kill.
Yes.
That they went to Vietnam to kill. And you come back, you know, wow. They train military's trained to kill.
Yes. And and what
Absolutely.
and I used to worry about my officers whenever I was a captain. They would tell me you have a new officer coming down. And we went hands on a lot. We was on the ground a lot. We had a lot of bikers at the time. We had a lot of gangs at the time, and we were getting officers hurt pretty regularly. Um, and not just hurt a little bit. We were having them have to go to the ER for stitches, broken arms, cuts and contusions to the face, and then they send these little bitty girls like 5'1", 5'2", and they're got their makeup on and their little earrings and everything, and I'm like, there is no way. And I would tell them, I'd say, you are putting these women in danger, because we didn't work in teams. They were solo officers, and sometimes they were solo with backup 20 minutes away.
Right.
So I mean, hold on one second. Somebody's at the door.
Okay.
I'm freezing. So what they would do is they would send the young ones, and they have never worked, and they've never been in that situation, and they're like, well, she's ready to go. She passed the paper test and everything, so put her out there. I was like, there's no way you can do that. And then I told them, and I bitched and I griped, and I went home one night, and I went home an hour. They had her out there, and I got a phone call. She's in the ER. A guy had just beat her up one side and down the other, and then took her weapon.
Right.
And I felt terrible, but there was nothing I could do, because my superiors had ordered me that she was ready, and that's what was going to happen. Luckily, later on, they decided that the women should be placed with a male partner, which was cut back a lot of our injuries. And I'm not saying women can't do the job of a man. I'm just saying you put these women were little bitty girls. They were like, that big around. And whenever they tried to go up against a 6'4", 6'5" biker that would pick me up and shake me like crazy. I wouldn't want to have to. It's dangerous, and there can be more than one. There can be two, three, four of them, and it always worried me. I always worried for them. Whenever I was out, and they would do a stop or something, and I wasn't
Mhm.
busy, I would always back my female officers. If they done a traffic stop and I wasn't busy, I would always go to their stop. I didn't get out and take over their stop or anything. I just pull behind them and back them just in case.
Mhm.
But it can be scary. But I don't know. We got a lot more people in the chat tonight. Does anybody have any questions for me over Hunter? Since this video is dedicated to Hunter, we'll end the night with questions on Hunter. Uh, I want to thank everybody for showing up, supporting Hunter. And like I said, I answer what I can. Yeah, Herbert, that's all we can do. We just train them the best we can, and then hope that nothing bad happens. Just pray and pray. Yeah, Beverly, I hear you there. There's no fighting dirty, Beverly. You fight to win. There's no rules in fighting. The only rule is that you go home. You do everything you can to go home. Uh, but I don't know. It's just it got scary at times. I'm not going to lie and say I wasn't scared. But if anybody has any questions, put them in capital letters, and I'll try to get to them. And if I don't know the answer, Brooks will. We'll let her do the answering. I'm sorry to hear that, Melissa. Anytime an officer loses his life in the line of duty. That's right, Scott. We're working on it. It don't seem fast enough, but it is going to happen. It will happen. I hope a lot, Beverly. I really do. I tried my best to always be there when I could be. Well, I don't think anybody has any questions. I must have done good at explaining that, Brooks.
Yeah, I think you did pretty good.
We've talked almost 2 hours now.
That's awesome.
We got
We
into
want to
it
thank
tonight, I guess.
everybody that's donated.
Yes. Yep. We
It's a
appreciate so very much.
huge help. It's a
It is.
huge help.
And they said Linda's asking what happened. Did I miss her? I'm looking for you, Linda. Oh, Linda says I don't know what happened. Um, the best way I know to tell you, Linda, to really find out what happened is go watch the live we done called "What Happened to Us." I believe is the name of it. But
Hmm.
I want to make sure that I don't go too much into things I'm not supposed to talk about because I went from what I was allowed to talk about on that one and put it out pretty much where I could go with it. Uh, Pretty much, my son was took and on false allegations, and we're trying to bring him back home. And tonight is a fundraiser for him. So that's what we're doing tonight. Trying to get that little booger back home, and he will be back home. It's just
It's to help with legal fees. That's where the
yeah,
money will go.
just just getting him home. That's what we're focused on right now. And I can tell you, he is coming home. This is just a big help at getting him home, and y'all's going to get to see the Christmas party he's going to have. We've got that all planned. And I did get the PO box like everybody told me to. I think Herbert was one of them, wasn't he?
Hmm.
That was getting on to me all the time. Don't worry, Brooks got on to me too. She said, "You keep saying you're going to do it and you haven't done it." So there's that.
Hunter's 11.
Yep, big 11-year-old.
And pinned up at the top of the chat are the links for the GoFundMe, the PayPal, and the Cash App.
Yeah, and if you can't find them, they're also in the description of the last videos I think we've done too. Frida said, "Am I allowed to visit him, Mike?"
Yes, you are allowed to visit him.
Yep, I
As a
am.
matter of fact,
I am allowed to visit him. Despite what people are saying, that the truth is, yes, I am able to see him. He is coming home.
hmm
Yeah, Herbert, he's 11 going on 30 for sure. Yes, he is on his way back home. Good night, Romans. Glad you was here with us. What was that? I didn't say
keep
that,
going.
Gina, and I'm not
Mm-mm.
saying not on that. I will have to abstain from that question. All I'm going to
Mm,
say is I am allowed to see him right now,
yes.
but I can't go into the other due to legal things that are going on. Well, everybody, I want to thank everybody. Well, I'm going to let Brooks have the first word, and then I'll end it, guys. So whatever you want to go with, Brooks, and then I will do what I can.
We appreciate the donations, Mike and Hunter do. Every little bit helps. We appreciate you sticking through us through this horrible thing that's been going on all this month, or not this month, but for months. Um,
October 5th.
yeah, it's all connected. The YouTube, everything. So God bless you and thank you for supporting Mike and Hunter.
I want to thank you guys for showing up tonight, also, and showing support for Hunter. You know, it's it's really not about me. He's the one paying the ultimate price right now. It's to get that little guy home where he needs to be, where he wants to be, the only place he's ever known. This is all he's ever known was me, and he's really all I've ever known.
Mhm.
He's the better part of me. That's what I always tell everybody. He's what keeps me going, and he's my best friend. And I miss him each and every day. I feel like a huge part of me's gone, and I now know, since a person has given me information and recorded information, that this was done as an attack on me because of the war that was happening between channels. Um, Hunter is paying the price for a war he was never part of.
Right.
And people took advantage of that.
I
And
think, my opinion, what's happened between the channels uh, was the cause of all this.
it was, I believe that also, and I believe that because we were warring, that we were doing good, and they seen that as a way to hurt me and to try to bring me down.
hmm Yep.
And other enemies reached out to other enemies, and that's what happened.
It was a conspiracy.
Fortunately, yes, fortunately, so there was some there was some women out there that were part of other channels that have kids, and they said that the more they heard, the more they heard, the more they heard, the more they knew it was a lie. And they found out by working that there was some shenanigans going on behind the scenes. They had proof of it, and they could not stand behind it no more, and they've now sent it to me, which I forwarded. Thank God they came forward, and I want to thank them because that took a lot of guts to come forward
Mm.
against people that they've aligned with, that were their friends, because they were friends with these people, and it's going to cost them their relationship with their friends. But they said they had to do the right thing. So luckily, they recorded things and they sent it to me. Video recordings of other people admitting things, and there was secret meetings behind the scenes that we had no idea about. 24 to 26 people in these meetings, that were, some were messaging, some were recordings, but it was all
hmm
screenshotted and sent to us. We have all that now.
It was definitely a conspiracy to commit harm to an individual.
Yeah,
That's
you know,
illegal.
and it goes across state lines. And in my opinion, there was money transferred allegedly, and the people that are helping us have proof of this.
Mm.
And it's sad, but he'll come home soon. And it was just a really bad thing that happened.
Yeah.
Thank you, Frida. I mean, and for the ones of you that want to help, letting our videos play at your house if you're not busy and letting the commercials run, all that helps. Hitting the like button tonight, smashing that like button for Hunter, putting the algorithm out there. When we drop videos, every video, hitting that like button, watching the video, watching the commercials, that will all boost the algorithm. Even the shorts that we put out, all of that's a
Hmm.
big help. And you know what? When you close your eyes tonight and you say a prayer for you and your family, add me and my family into your prayers. That helps the most because God is above all this. And God is going to see us through this. And it'll be His will, His way, and He will bring justice. And, we have a tight family here. And we're blessed that we have all y'all. Thank you so much, Susan. We appreciate that. You know, uh, we just have a really good family here. And I can't wait to
Yeah.
get him home.
And we're all ready for this to be over just like y'all are.
Yeah, I'm going to leave Herbert's up there.
Absolutely, Herbert.
But, until I'm looking forward to making the video to where he comes home. You all get to see him come home. You get to hear his little voice. And of course, he's going to take my phone and he's going to be right there talking to you. I already know he's going to. He was always so good at that. And whenever we leave tonight, I will leave a picture of him up for just a little bit so you all can see him. Just look at those eyes. Me and him were sitting together in that picture. I cut me out of it, but he was so happy that day, and he was always happy. I know he's not now, and that's what bothers me.
Yeah.
But we're fighting for him. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for everything you're doing. And until next time, keep your head on a swivel. Don't be something's dinner. And God bless.
Good night.